Hello YouTube, this is Eclipsing Religion, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a preview I saw for a movie. It's called Christmas with a capital C. I don't want to promote this film, so I hesitate to even give it the attention of making it a video, but I sort of wanted to point it out because it really upset me in, I don't know, maybe like 50 different ways. I'm kind of reminded about the post-election column that Ann Coulter wrote when she was talking about the election in 2008. And she said that the one good thing that McCain did in his entire campaign was pick Sarah Palin. And she said she knew that Sarah Palin was the right choice because liberals didn't like her. She pissed the liberals off. And I remember she said, I can't remember the last time a Republican woman pissed off liberals so much as, well, me. I was like, hardy har, okay. But I thought it was kind of funny that the litmus test of do you make a good conservative is, do you piss off liberals? And I feel like this movie, Christmas with a capital C, was designed, just based on the preview, specifically to piss off liberals. Within this minute and 45 seconds, here's what they managed to do. They managed to go through a whole litany of things that bother me. So the preview starts with this small town in Alaska. And the second line of the preview, let me hold up my notes, see if I can get this right.
This is the only time of year that the entire world has this shared experience of peace and hope for the future.
Okay. Where do I even begin with this crap? First of all, it's not the entire world. Christians represent about 1/3 of the world's population. So most of the world isn't celebrating Christmas. And this feeling of peace and hope for the future. Christmas is, okay, a happy holiday, I'll give it that. I like Christmas, I celebrate Christmas, it's great. But the idea of Christianity is not about peace and hope for the future. As I said, 2/3 of the world is non-Christian. And, Christianity, if you're taking it literally, says that all those people are going to be going to hell when they die. So that's not a feeling of peace. Being in hell isn't peace, and that's not hope for the future for most of us. So what the hell are they talking about? Pun intended. So skip ahead a few moments, and the preview goes on. This little kid says to his father, Dad, you had a high school rival? And he says, Yeah. Well, what did you compete over?
Oh, baseball, basketball, mom. I won that one.
This pisses me off in two ways. First of all, trivializes romance. It puts the relationship with his wife in the same category as competing over sports. I mean, why put them together just as, that's just something guys compete over. We compete over one sport, another sport, and falling in love with women. That's stupid. And then the second thing is it really internalizes this gender role stratification and chivalry stuff. Oh, that's what guys do. They compete over the woman, but fortunately I won, so the woman is mine. Why is it that conservatives always have this huge traditionalist thing going on? I really don't like that. So the rival comes back to town, and this is where we find out the point of the movie, is apparently he's going to destroy Christmas. First thing he does is he has someone take down the Merry Christmas banner and replace it with a Season's Greeting banner. And the hero sees this and he says,
Hey, what are you doing?
Well, it's Season's Greeting. It works for everybody.
And the hero says, It doesn't work for me.
And this is generally like the single biggest complaint I have with this film is this whole phony war on Christmas thing. First of all, the idea that replacing Merry Christmas with Season's Greetings is somehow offensive. I don't know how anyone could really think this. I just don't. I really cannot understand why anyone would think that. And then the second thing is, why do you have to have everybody say it your way? I mean, obviously they're aware that there are Jews, that there are Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, atheists, agnostics. They're aware that people aren't Christmas, but they want everyone to say Christmas. They want everyone to celebrate it, just like they said in the second sentence of the preview. It's like everybody who counts is a Christian and celebrates Christmas, or at least they ought to be. And if that's not who you are, well then screw you. You don't count, it doesn't matter. That's generally the whole thrust of this whole idea. And they look at that attitude, which is preached in this whole movie, and somehow say, oh, we're under attack. Oh no, how dare they try to take our Christmas. It's not that they're trying to take your Christmas, it's that they're trying to stop you from forcing your Christmas down everyone else's throat. And which is ironic, because when they introduce, the villain of the story, his little preview is saying, I do have a problem with Christmas and all the other stuff that you Christians have been shoving down my throat. I don't have a problem with them having the atheist be controversial, confrontational, and diss-Christianity, or even diss-Christmas. That's how some of them feel. That's, the loud criticism of religion from atheists is something that's happening. I'm part of that, so don't necessarily object to that part of it. So the atheist villain continues by trying to remove a nativity scene from public land, something that there's a clear precedent for in our courts, and he apparently succeeds. And the hero's like, you're not going anywhere. This nativity scene's gonna stay. And the atheist said, well, you heard what the judge said. And the hero is not at all persuaded by that statement. So first of all, they're disregarding the whole precedent of, that has happened in America in real life. Nativity scenes are not okay on public land because taxpayers are paying for them, and A, not everyone's a Christian, but everybody has to pay taxes, and B, government isn't allowed to use, any money for religious activity because of the Constitution. They're ignoring that, and then they're also, totally funneling in this conservative mistrust of judges, especially when the judges are going against popular opinion, even though the reason why the whole judiciary was created as an unelected branch of government is so that we can have officials that aren't swayed by public opinion. That's not a defect, that's a feature. That's how the Constitution was written. So I don't get why they just keep messing up on this. Then they do another one of these big mouthful quotes that they just had to stuff into the preview. Let me see if I got this one here. Let me see. Just because God is out of vogue in the big city doesn't mean that we throw him away like last summer's fashion magazine. Oh boy. I don't even know how to respond to a statement this unbelievably boneheaded and inane. First of all, God isn't out of fashion in the big city, or out of vogue or anything like that. Yes, big cities are more liberal, and that does mean a little bit more secular than small towns. That's absolutely true. But that doesn't mean that the majority of Democrats don't believe in God or something like that. No, absolutely not. The number is obviously on the rise, but it's not the majority. 15% of people are not religious. Most of those people wouldn't classify themselves as out-and-out atheists. And if half of the country is Democrats, that means at most it's only 30% of Democrats, and that's assuming all atheists are Democrats, and even that's not true. I happen to know at least one atheist who is a Republican, so just cross that whole theory out. And then secondly, the idea that, you don't believe in God, therefore you place a lot of importance on fashion, which just comes and goes as this transitory thing. Now, I might be reading too much into this, but I think that's an allusion to the idea that, you don't believe in God, therefore your beliefs are all wishy-washy, moral relativism, you just are free to believe whatever you'd like, and we believe in something important and concrete, and we're not just going to give it up just because you're loose with what you believe in. That's the attack, and that's just such a tired and pathetic attack. Just like saying, it's important that we believe what we believe, because we never change our mind. That's really, really good. Is there any other field, aside from politics and religion, where not changing your mind is a sign of strength? Not changing your mind no matter what, just boastfully, we just believe the same thing no matter what. I can't think of anything. I really, really, really can't. Not even morality. In fact, morality is like the most important thing to be open to changing your mind about, because often progress is so difficult to make and so counterintuitive for so many societies. So this is just a really, really backwards almost pre-civilization way to think. Is it's only important to just believe one thing, no matter what, and we're not going to change our ideas, unlike you liberal, fashion, elite, big city types. Hey, it's unbelievably offensive and stupid. Then finally, the preview is almost over, mercifully, and have one more line to toss in. They say, Christians happen to have started the United States of America. Okay, you know what? That's true. First people that came here, and started a lot of the colonies were Puritans. You know who the very, very first people who came here were? No, they weren't Christians. The very, very first people that came here were the native people, who were not Christians. Then the next people that came here were the Vikings, who were not Christians. Then the next people that came there were Christopher Columbus, who he didn't come here at an expedition of Christianity. He came there because he was on an expedition that was going to make money, and he started a slave gold mining colony. Then the next people to come after that big settlement was you had the Jamestown settlement. In terms of actually America itself, the people were going to become America. Those people who were also on a money-making expedition. And then, yes, you had the Puritans, but they didn't really establish America. Okay, the people that really established the United States of America were not Christians. They were largely a bunch of deists who were basically the atheists of their day, and they wrote a constitution that was anti-religious. It didn't mention religion or God at all, aside from to mention how we were to not be involved in it. There's only 2 mentions of religion or God in the entire Constitution. The first mention is to say that there should be no religious test for public office, and the second is to say that there is to be made no law with respect of religion, divorcing religion and state. This is the first government in the history of civilization to do this. And they say, oh, well, you know what? It doesn't matter because, Christians started America. Oh, okay. You know what? Let's just pretend for a minute that that's true. Well, who cares? America was also started by slave owners. Did that make slavery right? America was started by people who believed in all sorts of ridiculous medicine and actually had a lot of consequences. George Washington died because he believed in bloodletting. Now, George Washington wasn't an idiot. People happen to believe in bloodletting. What does that have to do with anything, though? We should go back to the bloodletting system because, you know what? Darn it, our first president was a great man and he believed in it, so it's good enough for me. How could anyone really think that that's an argument? Christians started America, so therefore we're just going to keep doing it that way. Is this extension of the same thing I just mentioned? It's just like stupidity for the sake of stupidity. Now, I know I'm likely getting worked up over nothing. The, previous 2 Republican attempts to make a movie were An American Carol and Expelled. Both of those didn't make very much money. The movie Religious made about as much money as both of those combined. And when they made a TV show, like a comedy, they made a half-hour news hour that was canceled after 1 season. This is probably not going to go anywhere. I just wanted to point out that it's possible in 1 minute and 45 seconds to create something that I'm going to disagree with in so many ways that it just sort of inspired me to sort of want to talk about these issues and say, this really, really, really sucks. And people talk about the decline of American culture. They say, oh, this is so awful what's in our culture. They talk about the sex, or they talk about the violence, or they talk about the drugs. Usually they talk about the sex, because that's obviously the least harmful of the 3, and so that's the one they gotta concern themselves with the most. You know what I think? I think the movie Christmas with a capital C is not just what's wrong with our culture, but what's wrong with the country. That is what's wrong. The people that made that movie and see that preview and say, you know what, that sounds like a good movie to me. Do you want to talk about the decline of America? That is the decline of America.